Imagine trying to grasp the essence of infinity with a finite mind. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. It slips through, defies containment. The Kybalion tells us, the all is mind, the universe is mental. If everything we know is a mental creation of this infinite mind, then what does that make us? Are we mere thoughts within an unfathomable consciousness? Think about this. The quest to scientifically find God might be like trying to catch a shadow. Can an entity beyond comprehension, beyond human attributes, really be quantified? What if God's essence is present in each one of us, but hidden beneath layers of ego? Now, consider your own ego. It personifies God, molds this infinite essence into something it can understand, a being with human traits, prone to judgment and reward. But what if this image is just a reflection of our own limitations? What if the divine is far beyond our ego's constructs? Joseph Murphy posited that God is an experience, not a concept. Can you truly know something without becoming it? Imagine diving into the ocean and becoming one with the water. Could the true understanding of God come from an internal experience rather than an external search? Einstein once said, "The laws of nature are the thoughts of God." What if our observations and scientific endeavors are not just discoveries but acts of creation themselves? When we focus our attention, are we not channeling divine influence into the material world? And then there's the ego again, a double-edged sword. It's not inherently bad, it's the source of our creative potential. But how do we recognize it without becoming it? How do we distinguish between the ego and our true selves? Could it be that finding God is about aligning with divine intention, savoring the presence of the divine in moments of stillness and full awareness? So, what does it mean to experience God? How do we transcend the barriers of our ego to touch the divine essence within us? Stay with me as we unravel these profound questions and dive deeper into the nature of the divine. You know, I've always been fascinated by the concept of the infinite and mental nature of God. According to the Kybalion, there's this idea that the all is infinite mind, the universe is mental. What this essentially suggests is that everything we perceive around us is a mental manifestation of this infinite mind and that it all resides within the mind of the all. It's a mind-boggling notion, really, because it flips our traditional understanding on its head. We usually think of God in human terms, with human attributes. But this concept challenges that entirely. Scientifically, trying to find God as a physical entity is a futile endeavor. God, in this sense, is an essence within each of us, buried deep beneath the layers of our ego. When you start to think about it, the ego plays a significant role in how we view the divine. The ego loves to create a separation between us and God, attributing human characteristics to the divine and personifying it. This personification turns God into an external entity, capable of judgment and punishment, much like the gods from various religious mythologies that reflect our own egos. This externalization can really limit our understanding of God's true nature. We end up seeing God as someone or something outside of ourselves, rather than an integral part of our own being. This brings us to an interesting point made by Joseph Murphy. He argues that God isn't a person or a concept but an experience. You know, the kind of knowledge that only comes from diving deep into something and becoming one with it. So, understanding God isn't about searching for answers outside. It's about looking inward and experiencing the divine within us. This perspective really emphasizes the importance of introspection and direct experience. It's not about reading books or listening to sermons. It's about living and experiencing that divine presence within ourselves. Albert Einstein once said, "The laws of nature are the thoughts of God." This is a profound statement that bridges the gap between scientific observation and the divine. When we observe the universe and try to understand its workings, we are essentially tapping into the thoughts of God. This act of observation and understanding leads to new creations, as we become channels for the expansion of God's influence. It's fascinating to think that reality materializes based on our predominant thoughts and focus. This implies a deep interconnection between our minds and the divine essence. The ego, often painted in a negative light, actually has a crucial role in our creative potential. The key is not to completely identify with the ego but to recognize it as a part of us. When we can distinguish the ego from our true selves, we open the door to experiencing God in our lives. The search for God becomes an alignment with divine intention, finding joy in the presence of God, especially during moments of peace and full presence. It's about seeing the ego for what it is, a tool that can help us create and explore, but not the entirety of who we are. So, when you think about it, the journey to understanding God is not about conquering the ego but about integrating it. It's about recognizing its role and using it to enhance our connection with the divine. This approach allows us to experience God not as an external judge but as an internal essence that brings meaning and purpose to our lives. It's a fascinating journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening, one that requires us to look within and embrace the divine presence that resides in each of us. I mean, imagine for a moment if we could all see God as an experience rather than some distant being. How different would our world be? We'd stop looking for signs and miracles outside and start recognizing the miracles within us. Every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of awareness would become a divine experience. We'd see the interconnectedness of all things, realizing that we are all expressions of the same infinite mind. This perspective would foster a sense of unity and compassion, as we'd understand that harming another is essentially harming ourselves. Moreover, this understanding would shift our approach to life's challenges. Instead of seeing them as punishments or tests from an external deity, we'd recognize them as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. We'd approach each obstacle with the knowledge that we have the divine essence within us to overcome it. This shift in perspective would empower us, making us more resilient and optimistic. Additionally, think about the impact on our relationships. If we saw each person as a manifestation of the divine, our interactions would be filled with more love and respect. We'd appreciate the uniqueness of each individual, recognizing that everyone has a divine purpose. This would lead to more harmonious relationships, as we'd approach conflicts with empathy and understanding. And let's not forget the role of creativity. When we understand that we are channels for the infinite mind, our creative pursuits take on a new meaning. Every piece of art, every invention, every idea becomes a way of expressing the divine. This understanding would inspire us to tap into our full creative potential, knowing that we are co-creators with the infinite mind. Now, let's delve a bit deeper into the concept of the ego. The ego is often seen as the villain in spiritual discussions, but it's really just a part of us that seeks to protect and define our identity. It's the part of us that wants to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. While this can lead to unhealthy behaviors if unchecked, it also drives our ambitions and desires. The key is to not let the ego dominate our lives, but to find a balance. By recognizing the ego and its role, we can use it to our advantage. For instance, our ego's desire for recognition can motivate us to achieve great things. But if we can do this while staying connected to our true selves and the divine essence within us, our achievements will be more fulfilling and aligned with our higher purpose. It's about using the ego as a tool rather than letting it control us. In terms of spiritual growth, this means practicing mindfulness and self-awareness. By regularly reflecting on our thoughts and actions, we can catch ourselves when we're acting out of ego and realign with our true selves. This practice helps us stay grounded and connected to the divine presence within us. And speaking of spiritual practices, meditation is a powerful tool for this journey. Through meditation, we can quiet the mind and ego, allowing us to connect more deeply with the infinite mind. It's in these moments of stillness that we can experience the divine presence and gain insights into our true nature. Meditation helps us transcend the ego and experience a sense of oneness with the universe. Another important aspect is gratitude. By cultivating a sense of gratitude, we can shift our focus from what we lack to what we have. This shift in perspective helps us recognize the abundance in our lives and the divine presence in every moment. Gratitude opens our hearts and minds, allowing us to experience the divine in everyday life. And let's not forget the importance of love. Love is the highest expression of the divine essence within us. When we act out of love, we align ourselves with the infinite mind. Love transcends the ego and connects us with others on a deeper level. By cultivating love and compassion, we can create a more harmonious and fulfilling life. In conclusion, understanding the infinite and mental nature of God requires us to look within and recognize the divine essence that resides in each of us. It's about transcending the ego and experiencing God as an internal presence rather than an external entity. This journey involves self-awareness, mindfulness, meditation, gratitude, and love. By embracing these practices, we can align ourselves with the infinite mind and experience the divine in every moment. It's a journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening, one that leads to a deeper understanding of our true nature and our connection to the universe. And as we wrap up today's exploration of the incomprehensible nature of God, I want you to take a moment and reflect on this. Can we ever truly grasp the infinite with our finite minds? Isn't it fascinating how the Kybalion describes the universe as a mental construct of the infinite mind, where everything we perceive exists only within the mind of the all? This brings a new perspective.